Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Shonen and Chill, hosted by Zenrotto and Oceans.
Hello, hello, folks. It's lovely to get to do one of these again.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you leave for a week and you're like, oh, easy, I'll just record when I'm there, and then you don't bring a headset with you.
Well, hey, we did get one extra show in this week because I was supposed to be gone.
That's true. Yeah, it was supposed to be a double downer, but no, we're
Y-
we're good
Yeah,
because you're a war
international
criminal.
law.
Yeah,
International law has come in clutch for Shonen and Chill.
John Shonen Jump couldn't have us miss 2 episodes in a row.
So he
He
put
called
me
in a
on the most
favor.
wanted list. The funniest thing is, this is only half true, and we are not going to explain it on the show. Good luck trying to figure out that, folks.
Oh God,
All
there are
right,
gonna be so many
so
comments about that.
that's okay. There's gonna be enough comments about MHA. We need a
That's
different sort of
true.
faction.
Yeah, we need to split it up
Uh,
a little bit.
you said we should do today's episode a little differently because we have quite a lot on our plate, which happens when
Yes. So,
you don't podcast your
it's
podcast.
yeah, it's a double week and since we missed last week and it's a big double week because all of the My Hero shit that everyone knows. I don't need to be cryptic about it. The My Hero shit that's been happening.
Yeah.
Um so I feel like we can cut out a lot of the fluff series that we talk about for 10 seconds and then ignore for the rest of their
Mm-hmm.
segment. Um and we can just kind of talk about the big ones. So
Mm-hmm.
like obviously My Hero, Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, and then the couple that have been popping off lately, Undead Unluck, Akane. And
Mm-hmm.
so the other stuff that's just kind of there can just wait till next week when we're back on our less grueling chapter list.
Hopefully, if we don't let it
Yeah,
stack
well,
again by
My Hero's on
accident.
break next week, so
Oh wow, yeah, okay. Next week's gonna be a thin week in that
it'll be
case.
easy. Yeah.
'Cause say what you will about My Hero, it always gives us something to talk about.
Yeah, it pads the runtime, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. But before we get into any of the series proper, do you have any news from the manga sphere that you've picked up that you've heard?
Well, obviously this isn't really manga news, but the second part of Stone Ocean has gone up. This is probably the very
Mhm.
first time anyone's heard that advertised because Netflix has not bothered to do so. Um, so, if you have been waiting for Stone Ocean Part 2 and didn't realize it, it is on Netflix right now.
Mhm.
It's pretty good.
Mhm.
Earthchild officially canceled.
Mhm.
It is out of here for I forget they already said what's replacing it. I don't remember what the name is though because I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem particularly interesting to me, but I'll try it out because always give them the college try.
Mhm.
Um, Super Smartphone appears to be on the chopping block. It would
Oh,
seem.
really?
That's just what I've seen some Twitter accounts newsing it. That one and Aliens Area both seem a little on the doomed side because they are not putting up numbers. Um,
Mhm.
I would imagine Aliens Area will probably go first of the
Mhm.
two if it does, because one, it's older, and two, or no, it's not older. Super Smartphone is actually older. That's crazy. I didn't even know that. This series doesn't even exist in my brain. It's just such a nothing. Um,
Mhm.
but from what I've seen, rumor is that they are not uh, hitting them figures that John
Mhm.
Shonen Jump expects. So we'll
Mhm.
see if anything comes out of that.
Mhm.
And I don't know if we knew this already, but I know now we have like an official month confirmation for Jujutsu Kaisen season 2, which is
Oh,
what was it, like February, I think, next year?
okay. Well, that doesn't sound unfamiliar, but it's good that we have something in writing so we can send
Yeah,
it to
well, it
HR.
was a tweet from the official account.
Okay.
It was like an advertisement poster that had the date on it. So
Okay. Bet. Anything else? Because I have a couple of things.
no, go ahead.
Well, the big one is that Shonen Jump Manga Creators has officially launched, which is an app service where you can freely upload your manga that you've written or drawn, or it's basically it works like webtoons,
Hmm.
where anyone can upload anything as long as it's sort of within the guidelines of the site and the app. And the series that gets sort of the most traction, be it likes, be it reads, be it positive comments, and then is approved by a couple of judges, is going to be allowed to run on Shonen Jump Plus.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you can now, with some work and a bit of luck, you can run alongside Chainsaw Man if that's something you want.
Pretty
Uh,
wild.
we have no confirmation as to how that exactly works because this service started this month, so obviously no one's gotten published yet. Um, and they're in a bit of a mess. My sister applied and uploaded her webtoon that she's been writing for like two or so years now. And they basically told her, "Look, it's cool that you got so much violence in here, but there's just a little bit too much kissing. So this is mature audiences only." And apparently the the reasoning behind it is that they will allow users to like set age ratings that are not just for everyone or porn. But currently that's kind of what they have, and they're gonna sort of update it to have age ratings. Everyone 12 and up, 16 and up, 18 and up, and then you can participate proper. So if you have a really good series idea, but everyone's fucking naked all the time, maybe wait a month before you upload it.
That's fair.
Uh, yeah, but apparently they're super cool about it. And yeah, if you go on there, like, read, and vote for Mirror War by my sister. She
There you go.
works way too hard on it.
I'll have to put a link or something to that in the description
Oh,
somewhere if I remember to do that.
bet. I actually don't know if the site has like a web version. I know it's
Oh,
an
you just
app.
have to get the app. Okay.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
Well,
Mirror War is the name.
Mirror would do that.
Um,
Yeah, go vote for that.
and the other news is that Chainsaw Man is now officially bi-weekly. It's no more. They're no more talking about breaks. It's just straight up one chapter every 14 days. Deal with it. Which,
I'm right with that.
fair enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely fair enough. He because Fujimoto did all of part one of Chainsaw Man with zero breaks.
Yep. Was it like
So
95 chapters or something like that?
yeah, 95 weeks of just writing. So I'm fine with him definitely taking some more time. Um, and besides that, since we're not talking about it, I do want to mention I find it very funny that Blue Box's big cliffhanger this week is, oh no, the harlot.
Yeah, that was a little weird. I don't know what they're trying to give to us there. I don't know if that's supposed to be like, uh-oh, she's promiscuous, or if it's like, oh no, she's gonna give Taiki bad relationship advice or something. Um,
Well, I'm assuming she's just gonna be the third wheel to this already
there's already three wheels.
triangle. Yeah, she's gonna be the fourth wheel.
She's the fucking Pythagorean theorem to this fucking love triangle.
Yeah.
Man, I really hope that that's not the case. We really don't need another romantic rival, unless they're
No,
like,
no,
Hina is solved, which she's not. But, oh man,
I don't know. Uh I think my worry is really just that they're gonna sort of make this into a even bigger love triangle. But realistically, considering the last couple of tropes that the author introduced have been resolved fairly quickly and well, I think what's gonna happen is she's gonna be like a factor for 2 chapters, and all that's gonna happen is that she's gonna make Chinatsu realize that, oh shit, I actually get jealous.
that's fair.
Sort of a
Because they did
yeah,
talk in this chapter about like, you know, it's good that you're waiting to see how you feel, but the world's not going to wait for you. And if you don't make a move,
yeah,
someone else might. And then she might kind of have like a realization about that
yeah.
when
Because
what's her name is there. Because it could honestly be that this girl does absolutely nothing, but just because of
uh-huh.
the way that her sister talks about her, Chinatsu's like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's actually I think I would love that if it's sort of like, oh no, the harlot, she's here, and then she's just like, because she says, oh, I have a new boy I'm interested in, and it's just not Taiki,
Yeah,
but
it's
just
just
her
like some guy.
presence.
Yeah,
Yeah, like just her presence like makes Chinatsu take her feelings more seriously. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, I know we said we were not going to talk about Blue Box, but I really thought the cliffhanger, oh no, sex is really
yeah.
funny.
Just the, oh my God, the promiscuous woman. She's here. It's just a full page picture of her too. It's really funny.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all for me, I think.
Okay. Okay. So then I guess we should go ahead and we'll open up today with a little well, not open up because it's we've been open, but we'll start the proper content with a series autopsy, if you will, on Earthchild. It is now officially ended after
Hmm.
27 chapters.
What did you think of this final chapter?
Boy, it's really bad.
I thought so the last 2 pages, I was like, damn, I could see what you were trying to do,
Yeah, the
but oh
last
my
two
god.
pages were cute. Um,
Yeah.
the rest of it, really not though.
I
It's just
kinda
like, hey,
like
they're older now. Look how much older they are. The Earth is still there, be it
mm-hmm.
kind of shitty, but
Yeah.
whatever. Anyway, you're like what, 11 now? So go have fun. And then it ends.
I like that we say the last sort of 2 spreads are cute because those are the 2 spreads where Mamoru isn't around.
Yes, the only pages where Mamoru is not in the fucking shot.
Yeah, because that's when the series was good, when he was just a fucking snotty little
Mm-hmm.
toddler.
When he literally didn't fucking matter.
Mm-hmm. Which we've proven it once again, folks. Children make everything worse.
And they kind of go back to focusing on the dad more again in
Mm-hmm.
this final chapter, which I think is what they should have done the whole time.
Yeah. Like
The
I
the the
definitely
focus shift from the dad to Mamoru as the main character was not beneficial. Um, and just the fact that they literally didn't know what they were doing once they rescued the mother.
yeah. And the other thing for me is sort of now in hindsight, I kind of wonder was the shift to Mamoru what doomed the series, or was the series already doing poorly and the shift to Mamoru was sort of a guys, no wait, there's something cool here kind of move?
Yeah, see
Because
that I almost feel like it's that because it was such an abrupt shift. It was like,
hmm
oh, we gotta save your mom. Oh, we did. Okay, and then now we're gonna go fucking 8 years into the future, and now we have a little boy main character like Shonen is supposed to, and now we fight things a lot
hmm
with our powers.
hmm
That's really what it felt like, which it was never done well, particularly. And I can't
hmm
help but feel like because of how good the earlier stuff was, that it's just because it wasn't what it was intended to be.
hmm
But I don't know. That's all speculation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we don't really know. All I can say is that, well, what I've been saying for weeks. The original sort of what is it, 12 or so chapters, 15 chapters, whatever it is, are so good. They felt so fresh in Shonen Jump because they were not, yeah, they weren't just some fucking teenage twat saving the world. It was a superhero story through the perspective of a spouse, of a male spouse, nonetheless. And it just made for an interesting and fresh story. And it's such a shame that now it just ends kind of almost trying to remember what it was in those last few pages.
Hmm.
It
Yeah, it looks like it was 18 chapters before Earth Girl showed up. She showed up in chapter 19. And then
okay, I
shortly
see.
after that, we jumped to the time skip to grown up Mamoru in chapter 21,
hmm
which, man, God.
Yeah, that's
But those first like 18, man,
yeah, that was
something
good.
really special.
Those are good, and I think I can think of them as sort of a separate thing that it was just good on its own.
Yeah, just kind of its own little thing.
Yeah, because everything else, because even like the first appearance of the Earth Girl, I don't mind too much because it's a pretty raw moment for Reisuke. Um, so yeah, like if it just ends with them saving the mom and everything's fine, that's kind of how I will remember it. I think. But it's just so funny in a way to see because we've seen so many series come and go at this point, and there were some that were never good, some that were good but made like a crucial mistake, and some that were really good and just got canceled because life is hell. Um, but then you have something like Earthchild where it's like it's good for a long time, and then suddenly it just explodes on itself
Well, it's funny
and
because,
disappears.
we say, oh, it's really good, but like the things that we said make it really good also made it not a good fit for Shonen Jump in general.
Also true.
And then
Also
when it
true.
tried to become more of a good fit for Shonen Jump, it just immediately fell to shit. Like it's weird how that all kind of like you want
Well, I guess.
something unique and interesting, but Shonen Jump executives don't necessarily want that. They want whatever's going to make them a shit zillion bajillion dollars. So the
Yeah, and I can
actual
imagine
concept of the art doesn't really matter.
that, and I mean, I can imagine from like a from a reader perspective, seeing like if you're in Japan and you're more plugged in to this kind of stuff than we are, because obviously you can go to kiosks, you can go to stores and actually talk to the people who sell Shonen Jump and all that. And you hear that, oh, this series hasn't been doing well, so now it's completely shifting gears into something else. I feel like that alienates fans of what Earthchild was before.
Yeah,
It doesn't
absolutely.
do enough to please new fans who wanted a traditional battle shonen, and it shows to both groups that you have kind of no integrity. Oh, I mean that's kind of harsh, but like you have no, yeah, you cannot stick to a thing
Right. You're not
knowing,
interested in telling the story you want to tell. You're
yeah,
just trying to stay, yeah,
yeah,
relevant.
which isn't like a wrong thing. Like as an author, you're in Shonen Jump, you want to stay there. But if you communicate that so desperately to an audience, I can definitely imagine some people being like, "Oh, okay, well, if you don't believe in your story and we'll just flip flop whenever things go awry a little, then why should I invest?" Because that's the thing. The moment it flipped to Mamoru, I can remember both of us sort of like, "Uh oh, this shit's not surviving anymore." Which I mean, I feel like we had that attitude a little from chapter one, but with Mamoru, I think it really sealed the deal. Where it was like, okay,
Yeah, well, I
you,
mean, we kind of said it like jokingly in the sense of like, oh, this isn't a stereotypical shonen. This ain't lasting.
mhm,
But
mhm.
when it made that jump over to Mamoru as the lead character and it like tried to establish the Earth Girl as like the big bad, the writing was on the wall, to be
Yeah,
sure.
and it was bad writing at that.
Correct.
We did it. We used the buzzwords then.
We did it. Twitter, are you happy?
Bad writing, foreshadowing, nuance, world
Not
building.
foreshadowed like Oda.
Goda. I love it. Just makes up a character, has him show up in one panel. 15 years later, finds that panel in a discarded pile of tissues. He's like, oh yeah, this guy, and then makes him the main villain for an arc.
Uh,
God tier.
Goaded foreshadowing.
I can't believe Oda has revealed the true identity of Glurp Shido. uh,
And it was it
that's
was the dog that was guarding that town in the first arc.
okay, but you know what? Figuring out that oh god, what was the skeleton's name in the crew? Brooks?
Brooke, yeah.
Yeah, figuring out or finding out that Brooks was the captain who was friends and then had to abandon Laboon the whale. You know, information that is spread between 200 chapters. That was one of my biggest neuron connection moments I've had with manga. That just felt
Neurons
so cool.
activated.
Yeah, monkey sees action. That shit was cool. I'm not gonna slander that. I'm gonna slander everything else about One Piece, but that one was really good. Um, anyway, I can't believe we didn't have time for Blue Box, but we did have time for One Piece.
Yes. Well, it's hard not to have time for One Piece after that fucking interview that Oda put out. So
Oh,
bad.
yeah. Oda is just a weirdo.
He is a creepy dude. Something about him freaks me out. I don't know, man.
Well, something about him being that he take every time he's asked about like women, his answer is basically, "Oh, haha, women have a responsibility to be naked."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I
It
think
really
that's
is
that's
bad.
something about him.
It's really bad, man. What did he say this time? If you see a pretty woman and don't catcall her, you're being rude to her. It's
Yes,
like,
and
dog.
a woman is being rude if she doesn't expect you to, and it's like, oh, bro,
Oh, brother.
just
Yeah, we need to
close your mouth.
stop taking interviews, my man.
Yeah,
You're
I
already
wonder because
making enough money that you don't have to care what you say, I guess, because like no one's gonna stop reading One Piece because you're like, women are for oogling, but like at the same time, just shut up.
honestly, if you're deep enough into One Piece to have read like Sanji's time skip Transphobia Island arc, I think you're fine. You're never gonna drop the series for political reasons, which that's your decision. But yeah, I just wish Oda would stop talking about anything that isn't directly One Piece plot related, because every time he does, it's just awful. And then you have a whole cavalcade of people just going, "Oh, it's not that bad." It's like, no, it's that bad.
It's that
It's
bad.
actually probably
Yeah,
worse.
it's really that bad. Like I love the one where he says, where they're like, "Hey, Oda Sensei, how do you draw women?" And he's like, "Okay, so I make an X and then I put two big old titties at the top of it. And if you do that, women aren't gonna like it, so you have to get used to criticism." It's like, dog, what is your advice?
Yeah, well, here's the thing about that. The thing he doesn't mention is that that's how he draws women that are like good guys. Evil women are always just one
Yeah,
giant
they're
circle.
they're Disney evil. Yeah, where they're all like
Yeah.
ugly as sin. Yeah.
Hmm.
But to be fair, that's not an Oda exclusive thing. That's
Oh
just
no, absolutely not. I mean,
media evil is
misogyny
ugly
isn't.
women.
Yeah, because misogyny isn't an Oda thing. Eiichiro Oda did not invent misogyny.
No, he's just really good at it.
Misogyny master.
He's got the black belt.
Oh god, he has a black belt in advanced catcalling.
His
Good
name is
god.
up on the dojo wall
Do you think shit like this is why he didn't do interviews for so long?
because he knew
Like,
his thoughts were terrible, or he knew that people
no,
would pick them
like,
apart.
well, no, that like some editor or some like advisor was like, "Hey, look, just stay in your cave and draw, please."
Oh yeah, they're like, oh dude, I read that interview. I need you to stop. Please, I'm
Yeah.
begging you.
I mean, I don't know. I don't actually know how true that is that he didn't do interviews. I just remember there was a time, I want to say like 2015, 2018-ish, where he was like his public appearances were very, very rare. And I remember people talking about how, oh, I wonder what he's cooking up. And now I'm just thinking, oh, some editor was just like, look, dude, just write the manga. Stop talking about how much you hate women, please.
But then and then he'd say some shit like, I don't hate women, I love women. It's like, shut the fuck up, shut up, shut
Oh
up,
god.
you fucking weirdo.
Yeah, that's the thing. Honestly, I'm not even that annoyed by Oda himself. I mean, obviously, he says some dumb shit, but the problem is really just whenever he says it, you just get this army of people who are like bending over backwards to make sense of what he's saying in a way
Yeah,
that
well,
isn't
because like there's always
shitty.
just kind of shitty misogynist takes that you can just be like, okay, whatever, man. Like, but yeah,
Yeah.
you get like the legion of people being like, oh, he's right, or like, oh, it's not that bad. He just means this, and it's like, I don't. Shut up, man. Stop justifying it.
He
It's weirder to justify it than
he's
to say it.
referring to an ancient Japanese tradition that we Westerners just cannot understand, you see.
We're, we're not the target audience for this interview.
God, remember when? Remember? Oh God, I cannot believe this fucking sentence is gonna come out of my mouth. Remember when Shinzo Abe died? And, and
Yeah, that's when the show lost all its funding.
yeah, that's why the episodes are so rare now. No, but remember when he died and someone was like, you see, for the Westerners, here's the context. Killing someone in Japanese culture is really
Yeah,
disrespectful
that was so fucking funny.
because it goes against the concept of takei, which means to live.
It's like that meme where it's like thing in Japanese thing, but it's just murder. Murder in Japanese murder.
Can you fucking believe that the assassination of Shinzo Abe worked?
With
As in,
that,
like they're revoking all of his policies now, one by one. It's the I've never seen a country lose their leader and be like, "Wow, the assassin was kind of spitting."
damn, homie made a shotgun out of a hairdryer. We should probably check into his complaints.
This is awful. So anyway, if you want to sponsor Shonen and Chill, and if you are a marginally or maybe even very corrupt political leader anywhere in the world, we are very open and very uncritical. So give us a call.
Oh, Jesus. All right, so the Earthchild segment's 20 minutes long.
That's okay. Half of that is politics.
Oh God. Okay. So let's move on to the newbie, Tokyo Demon Bride story.
uh, Are you familiar with the term incel core?
Yes.
Yeah, because that's the vibe I got.
Yeah, no, I'm not feeling it either. It's we kind of talked about this off the air, but it definitely feels very like I made this in a boardroom on a whiteboard with a bunch of other executives because we found things that we think are going to be as absolutely popular as possible. We genetically coded this to
Mm-hmm.
to hit the right notes. It's like first of all, of course, it has to have demons in it, and all the
Mm-hmm.
demons are young women.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and of course, it has to have like the dweeb MC who's like, "Ugh, I'm such a loner. I'm too cool for all these other weirdos around me. I'm just like, don't talk to me. I'm edgy and lonely." And of course,
Mm-hmm.
all the women have to be obsessed with him and after him the whole time.
Except his sister, who's hot and has giant boobs.
Yes. Man, I'm not into it. I'm really not into it. Um,
Yeah, I mean it's kind of unremarkable. It's just, oh
yeah,
look, it's the lolly that likes the main character.
uh-huh.
Wouldn't
And then
you
like,
love to be the main character?
and
Like,
then the
no.
first opponent is also like an underage girl in a swimsuit that looks kind of like Suyu. Uh,
I guess it does.
yeah, well, there's only so many ways you can draw frog women. Um, it's really funny to me that the first enemy's ultimate attack was Mermaid Man's special move.
Hmm.
This is just a waterfall.
Yeah, but that's the one thing that has me a little hopeful for this series, because obviously, if it really wants to take all of the popular shonen checkboxes, it needs to also transition into fighting, like as a fairly consistent route. And I do like sort of what we get of the combat here. I liked, oh, the water ball and like her sword skill. Um, I do find it funny that there's a reference to Demon Slayer here. And in the same chapter, she like slashes through water while saying first move or first technique,
First
which,
skill, yeah.
yeah, first form, which is like, haha, it's fine to be derivative as long as you make fun of yourself, which, you know what, actually fair enough.
Yeah. And then of
Um,
course we have to end with the I'm naked in the shower shot.
yes, obligatory.
Mm-hmm.
Obligatory and cringe.
A little.
Uh,
A little.
I don't know, man. The moment I see like a girl that is 100% don't kid yourself meant to look underage and she's
Correct.
after a guy, like I clock out. I'm just like, okay, this is for people who are a lot less socially adjusted than me.
Yes.
I cannot,
God,
I don't
like
get too much
you
enjoyment out of
know
it.
it's bad because there's a flashback and that shows her like as a little child at like 6 years old, and really the only difference in her appearance is that she's taller now.
Yeah.
Um, which like we're definitely gonna get some weirdos who are like, You don't even know what an underage girl looks like," but like, bro, her face is like, come on, perfectly round, and it's just weird. It's weird. It's weird. She's drawn to look extremely young, and I'm not about it.
Because, I mean, it's a good old question. Like, okay, sure, maybe she isn't an underage girl in the story. Whatever. She's a million years old demon. What is the specific reason for drawing her like that?
Yeah, like why wouldn't you just draw her to look more adult?
Yeah. What? Because as an artist, you make choices, and as a viewer, you react to those choices. And as an artist, if you say, okay, I have this character who is, this ancient demon, and I will choose to draw them as if they were 11 years old, and I will specifically put them into a situation where they are romantically and by implication, at the very least, somewhat physically attracted to the main character, who is a bland male protagonist around the age group of my readers. This constellation is not something that happens completely coincidentally. Let's be
Yeah,
real here. And it's
yeah,
like, I do want to make the distinction. You're not a shitty person for enjoying this, and like you're not awful because you think this is cute. Because frankly, I'm sure if I didn't have my own prejudices against it, I could probably enjoy it. I just think it's the whole Lovecraft thing again, right? Where like, I don't think you're a bad person for enjoying it. I just think that you should be honest and aware about what it is that is being made here. Um, but I mean that applies to the entire like lolly culture with manga
yeah.
and anime. where people are just really aggressively reluctant to just admit that, hey, look, they're drawing them as kids for a reason. If you if you have a sort of, non-sexual enjoyment for that, good for you. Absolutely, go for it, right? Like I like what is it called? Uzaki-chan. Don't or yeah, Uzaki-chan. And that's kind of in that sense as well. Um so, I cannot tell you you're a shitty person for this. But I like Uzaki because it's kind of cute, but I also know exactly what that show is trying to do.
Yeah,
And
like
I think you should
what
too.
the end goal that it's trying to capitalize on is.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, in that specific case, I think the anime was just a bad adaptation because it took everything that was questionable about the manga and amped it up. Like made her head and her tits bigger. And was still like, now she looks even more like a toddler. Get that shit out of here.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, it's not very good.
yes, it's not great. I mean, the things I've mentioned aside, it's kind of just generic for now,
Yeah, I
which,
mean, it's just it
chapter
feels
1.
very much like it was like we said earlier, written in a boardroom. It has to have demons. They have to fight. They have to have elemental magic powers with spirit energy.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the main character has to be like an obnoxious dweeb that no one would ever deal with in real life, but women
Mhm.
desperately want him in this um,
Mhm.
to get some wish fulfillment in there. There's just nothing there. Well,
Yeah.
we'll see if it decide. Maybe it's like an Undead Unluck situation where like it has to be shitty because that's the
Mhm.
hook, and then once
Oh,
it's got enough creeps, then it can actually get good. I don't know.
chapter 10, it'll turn to the camera and be like, "Aren't you ashamed of yourself?"
It's just gonna shift focus to a completely different set of characters.
Yeah. A set of characters, different set of characters that's investigating why this 17-year-old guy is hanging out with this 10-year-old chick all the time.
It's just the
That would
FBI
actually be
agents.
that would actually be a really interesting story setup.
Oh God.
But yeah, I think we're over it. I think we
Yeah,
can move on. No.
it's yeah, mediocre, and we'll leave it at that. Okay,
Yeah.
so now we're just gonna kind of talk about a couple of the big ones that I think are really popping off right now. Let's
Hmm.
start with Akane-Banashi.
So, what do you think of Big Bad Man?
So it wasn't as intriguing as I was kind of hoping it would be. Like I thought there was more to it, but I do like his reasoning. Um,
Hmm.
I think it's an interesting concept. The whole idea of like your dad just wasn't up to par, and like you don't want to accept that because he's your idol, but it's the truth. Um,
Hmm.
and then I also kind of like her resolve of like she doesn't necessarily call him wrong outright because
Hmm.
he he's kind of talking about it, and there's even points where she's agreeing with him, um, where she kind of is like, well, you were right that he was basically your criticism of him was correct, and also
Hmm.
you're right to feel like you know his whole thing about how he's the steward of this ancient technique that's kind of falling out of focus that like people don't really give a shit about it anymore. Um, but it's an ancient technique from bygone days of entertainment that they are like the only people now who still do it. They're the ones who still hold it. And that's something to that you should value. And she kind of agrees with that too, but then ends it with, despite all of that, I still believe in what my dad was doing, and I'm gonna prove that you were wrong. And he's not like, you fucking brat. He's immediately like, good, do that. Like,
Hmm.
I want to see you do that. It's an interesting dynamic. I like him a lot after getting the reveal.
Yes. Like, I don't know. It's weird because obviously we spent the first sort of 10 chapters of the series going, ugh, what's Rakugo? And for now to that be a plot point where it's like, yeah, the reason I'm so harsh with my students and with the people I evaluate is because Rakugo is kind of a nothing in the sort of in terms of media presence. And I don't know, I felt very called out in like a cool way. Where I was like, yeah, no, I don't give a shit about Rakugo. And so this guy would have a very good reason to be extremely selective about that. But what's also cool, and I obviously agree with everything you've said, but what I want to add to that is also Akane is in a sense continuing the tradition of Rakugo because Rakugo was a tradition that was very much sort of tied to your families and the lineages of people who practiced it. And now Akane is here trying to stand up for the Rakugo, not just of her own ability, but the Rakugo of her dad. And so I think that's also why the old guy is sort of happy as well. Not just sort of in a, oh yes, I want to see how good you're gonna get, but also like I see that you have the spirit of Rakugo. You have this resolve to stand up for things that for those that came before, basically. Um, so yeah, no, I'm really happy with this explanation. I do agree it's a little odd how they made such a big deal out of it, and then it's really just on its face a very simple resolution. It's just your dad just sucked.
Yeah, he just wasn't good.
Yeah. But it's also cool. Like it goes back into the whole thing. I think we talked about that like a month or so ago. That we've only ever seen the past through Akane's eyes, and that it might have been distorted. And it's cool that we get a little bit of that, where it's sort of like, are you sure your dad was that good? Because he
Right, kind of
wasn't.
rose-colored glasses about the whole thing because,
Yeah.
it takes her a minute, but she does eventually kind of admit, like, okay, yeah, but, like she starts making justifications for why he was nervous and stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know. I liked it quite a bit. Was it like super intriguing that it like mystery? No, not really. And so I do think it was a little bit weird that it was built up kind of to be one. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, the event. Nobody knows why. And it was just like, hey, you're bad. You need to stop coming here. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but I do think that it was worth it in the long run here, just to
Mm-hmm.
kind of set the tone for who this Arakawa fella is and like what he's all about. And it's gonna be neat going forward to
Mm-hmm.
see them like interact.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
I'm
I think.
hoping that he doesn't just vanish now. Because I'm sure he's gonna be gone for a while, but I do kind of hope he keeps sort of checking in. I don't want him to just kind of be like, okay, you confronted him and he said your dad sucked and you were like, nah, and now that's it. Like
Mm-hmm.
now you're
Yeah.
gonna move on. I do hope that he keeps coming back into the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the thing is, I think this is now a very sort of crucial moment for the series because now sort of the big goal, the mystery, or at least sort of the attempt to reach this old guy, um, has happened, and now we kind of have to very quickly set up the next big thing that Akane is going to work towards. So that's going to be interesting to see how and if the series manages to do that well. I mean, I think it's time. It's about time we start being confident in Akane-Banashi. Like it's been pretty
Yeah,
heat
it's been
for a
good for a
while.
long time now.
Hmm. Which is just, as I said, it's just surprising as hell. This was the last series I expected to like.
Yeah, I really didn't think like I kind of figured it was always going to be around because it was, one of those series that wasn't a battle series, so it didn't have like the inevitable axe looming over its head when it didn't succeed in 10 weeks. So I was like, it'll just kind of be there. It'll be whatever. I
Hmm.
had it pegged as like a witch watch, like, oh, it'll this girl will just be doing plays. No, it's
Hmm.
incredible. It's just so
Hmm.
good.
Yeah, it's just genuinely really good.
Yeah. But yeah, so
Um,
I mean that's all I have to
yeah.
say on it. I do like their dynamic. I liked the confrontation. It was very tense too. It was drawn in like a really good way, where it was just the panels and the way that his explanation was kind of flowing, and the way that
Hmm.
she was kind of on the back foot in the beginning, because back in chapter 27, like his whole speech about like if the audience is cheering for you to help you, you already fucked up because they're no longer there in the show that you're putting on for them. They're trying to make you feel better. Uh,
Hmm.
and she was kind of on the back foot for that whole conversation and like making excuses and stuff. And then in 28, she kind of turns that around on him and is like, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I'm still going to prove you wrong. And I thought that was cool. I liked that.
Yeah. And I think one last thing I do want to mention is, and I feel like I mean, I'm not capable of original thought, so I've probably said this before, but YouTuber syndrome. But I really like that Akane Banashi does this thing where no one is like outright horrible or wrong. Like this guy is the closest thing we have to a main villain, and he is honestly not that terrible of a dude. Like from his expressions, from the way he talks to her, from the way he's been sort of at the contest, and the way he talks about Rakugo, you don't get the impression that this is just someone who revels in making other people feel like shit. It's someone who's just deeply passionate about the art form that he is the steward of, and that who's deeply concerned about its decline in the modern era. But he doesn't even like, he doesn't go on like a conservative rant where it's like, oh, the young just don't know how to appreciate it. He's just like, the times have changed, and I need to be selective. And I love Rakugo, and I will protect it, even if it means being the bad guy sometimes.
Right. And like I like the way they framed it too, where his whole comment to her was like, "Oh, you don't belong here," and everyone's immediate thought was like, "Oh shit."
Hmm.
He kicked out her dad and now he's mad at her. And then what his comment actually meant was, "You're too good to be in this competition. It it's not meant for people of your skill level. It's for amateurs."
Yeah, like
Uh,
he just comes across as a intense but intensely passionate guy.
mhm.
Um, and again, I like this. Yeah, we had that with the teacher as well, where it's like people aren't bad; they're opposed to Akane for reasons that might not be true. Like when the teacher was like, "Oh, Akane, are you sure you can do Rakugo?" We as the audience knew that, but from her perspective, if a student tells you, "I want to be a stand-up comedian for a living," yeah, as a teacher, you are going to push them a little to like reconsider. And I think that's something I really, really appreciate now about Akane-Banashi, that everyone feels like they have an internal logic that, even when it is in complete opposition to the main character's goals, makes sense for who they are, and you can empathize with them. Because yeah, I can, yeah, like this guy, he's mean and he's scary, but I can empathize. If you've dedicated your life to an art and you have to watch it die, basically, you're gonna be harsh who you let represented in the modern age. So yeah, no, I really really appreciate that, this sort of level of depth and empathy that is created with the cast.
Yeah, and it's always been good, like you said at that, where characters who are necessarily in Akane's way aren't bad people. They're just kind of
Mhm.
they have their own reasoning and it doesn't necessarily line up with the main characters. It's good. It's good
Yeah,
stuff. Quality. Peak,
quality
as they
indeed.
say on the internet.
Yes, Peaction.
Hmm. All right. Next up, it's the last one before the big ones. Just one
Mhm.
that I think should get chatted about a little bit, and that is Undead Unluck.
Mhm. Who has
Uh,
been
super
going
good these
crazy.
past few times. The whole backstory for Wheeze, her name's funny as fuck.
Mhm.
Um, the chapter 124 double spread with the title drop, really good.
Mhm.
Fucking slammed. Um,
That's a very good title drop as well.
yes. The uh, the end of chapter 125 is
Mhm.
fucking super heart wrenching and like really well executed. Her whole backstory was really sad. Um, the little bonding moment that she has with Fuko and the fact that they can touch one another because she has a prosthetic hand now. So like
Mhm.
it's okay if she touches Fuko with it because it's not her skin, so she won't get charged with unluck and stuff. And then the
Mhm.
realization that her and Andy have to go fight and protect Fuko while this loop starts, which means that every time they've looped before, she's had to sit there and watch everyone go die over and over
Mhm.
again so that she could try again every time.
Mhm.
Man, it's really good. It hit me. It hit me a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I also like the moment when Jui is sort of thanking Apocalypse. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, where the
Where it's
book's
like,
trying to be like an asshole, and she's like, "Ah, we're pals."
yeah, we're pals. You've been with me throughout all this time. Come on, bring it in.
Yeah, and he's like, "What? No, fucking." He's like, "Nah, come on, come
Yeah.
on."
But yeah, no, very, very cool. Very heart-wrenching sort of setup for now. This has to be like the final stretch.
Oh
As in
yeah,
like,
oh yeah. I can't
what
imagine that
chapter
they're
is
gonna
this?
loop and be like, "No, we're starting the whole fucking shit over again."
Yeah, because I feel like, do you think we're gonna reach chapter 150?
Uh,
Because this is 125. Do you think 25 more chapters?
I think it'll probably manage 25 because I don't think that we're
Okay.
gonna loop and then God's just gonna show up and be like, ah. They'll probably do something to get there because
Mm-hmm.
she'll have to re-find Andy first, and there'll probably be a couple
Mm-hmm.
chapters of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we'll go from there to probably planning to go take on God, and that will be the resolution. Because I also think what's his fuck, Ruin. I feel like he might end up coming back, Unruin.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
because I mean he has the similar revival powers to Andy, and that's the whole reason he can tank the loop, is because he can't
Mm-hmm.
die. And
Mm-hmm.
that's supposed to be Ruin's whole shtick too. So like I don't know that stopping him like Billy is doing would necessarily result in him being gone. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so he may end up needing to be something that they have to overcome as well, which is
Mm-hmm.
fine. I don't mind there being like a dragon for them to fight before they fight the big bad. But
Mm-hmm.
I do think we're probably within 30, 40 from the end, probably.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you'd say that this time next year it'll be over and done with.
Yeah, by at the latest. This time
Mm-hmm.
next year or a little bit sooner, probably, yeah.
Okay, so like spring,
Yeah,
presumably.
somewhere around there.
Also, we didn't mention it in the news segment, but Undead Unluck is getting an anime by David Pro.
Yes, same people
So
who make JoJo.
yeah, which will air in early 2023. So it might actually coincide with the manga ending.
Oh, that would be very interesting. That would be kind of cute, actually, if
Mm-hmm.
the manga ends right when the anime comes out. I am looking forward to that anime too. I really like Dav Pro's stuff in general, not just JoJo. But obviously, JoJo's the highlight, but
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah, I mean, company's been in the mud a little for the last year or so, but hopefully they can
yeah, well,
recover.
hopefully Netflix doesn't get it.
Well, I wouldn't expect it honestly. I think because I think the JoJo Netflix deal was like many things at current David Pro, a result of them running around trying to make space in their production schedule for the Yatsura remake,
Hmm.
which no one asked for and no one wants. But they but they literally restructured their entire company and production pipeline for it, which is also what fucked Part 6 over in some regards, in terms of scheduling. Um, so yeah, I'd expect that hopefully by the time On It Unlock actually airs and is actually in production, this whole shit is blown over and we get some peak David Pro again, like with Part 5 and with Fire Force.
Yes, that would be nice. All I know is I need part 7 to get a little bit more love than part 6 got.
Yeah, well, let's see if Part 7 even gets an anime. That's
Yeah, I'm a
always
little
the question.
side-eye about that myself, but
Well, let's see when and if Araki's gonna start fucking Part 9 like he promised.
yeah, he is just on a break. That's okay.
He's
He can
just
take a break.
hang.
He's an old man. He's got to rest.
Yeah, that's true. But that's the thing, time's passing. The man's 62. Gotta. What is he gonna
True.
do? He's gonna
Need it out before you're gone, bro.
like he's gonna start it when he's 65, and if it goes on like around 8 9 years like the other JoJo parts that have been in the new universe, what he's gonna fucking finish part 9 with 74? He's going to be like, yeah, part 10 might happen. Like, bro.
Yeah, part 10 I don't think is happening, but
No,
part
no.
part 9 will probably happen.
I think part 9 is going to be a good way to also to end the series because it's going to be 3 trilogies basically.
Yeah, that's true.
This isn't the JoJo segment though.
Everything could be. JoJo's just that good.
That JoJo's fucking
But you're right. Yeah,
phenomenal.
but Undead Unluck, very good. Getting an anime. I'm looking forward to seeing the conclusion.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to if they genuinely are just going to adapt chapter 1 the way it is.
Oh God, I hope
But
not,
they
but I don't see why
probably
they
are.
wouldn't. They probably just will. But
Well, the thing is, there's 3 options. They either won't, or they'll make it worse. Because that is
that's
also
true
a thing.
too. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, because they could spend more time on that gag.
Yeah. In fact, it could be even shittier.
Yeah. I guess we'll just let them cook and see what they do.
Let them cook. And speaking of that, but well, actually no,
Yes.
we'll go one more before we get there. We've
Oh,
got
God,
one chapter
thank
of
God.
Chainsaw Man to talk about.
Oh yes, right. Keep forgetting
Yes.
Chainsaw Man's back because we're so
Yeah.
bad at covering it.
One chapter of
Yeah.
Chainsaw Man. It's a pretty interesting chapter. I like how Denji's just desperate to get found out and nobody's putting it together. I find that pretty funny. I also find that he thinks that like being Chainsaw Man will be enough for everyone to be like, ah, everyone's gonna want me. But he's still like a gross little freak,
hmm
just like violently eating that cake with his hands the whole time.
Yes, and Yoshi does a sequence where he's like, what? Trying to
Hmm.
figure out.
The
So
slow
funny.
like thought, and then he's just kind of leaning back in his chair, like, hmm.
I love Fujimoto's comedy. It's so stupid. Because I like Denji's whole sequence in front of the TV where he just starts rambling and gives out his number.
Yeah, he gives his phone number, and they're like, "We don't want your phone number, weirdo.
Yeah.
This is
Uh.
just my guess, but this is Chainsaw Man's phone number."
Also, yeah, that panel where he just stands all proud, and it just looks like they don't know I'm Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, he's got like his hands on his hips, looking up in the air.
Mhm. Yeah. But yeah, this was sort of it's cool because we got sort of an action-packed reunion with Denji the chapter before, and now we get sort of more of a character-driven one. And they're both equally good, I'd say. But we got
Hmm.
to see sort of how strong he is, and now we get to see how dumb he is.
Yes, in true Denji fashion.
Yeah.
I also like when he's like, "Yeah, we met before. When you had all those assassins trying to kill you, that didn't happen. Yeah, it did. Why don't we go get some food? I don't have any money."
uh, yeah, I've seen a lot of people sort of debate whether or not it's a good thing that Denji is basically the same as he was in part one. I think it is. I think because this is what not even a year after part one, right?
Hmm.
So I wouldn't have wanted him to be completely different. I think having a Denji who's basically now living out his well his fantasies essentially, well, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, I'm
I
not so
also
sure that
think
we needed like a wizened older Denji. That's just not really the kind of not what I'm looking at Denji for as a character.
mm, yeah. Well, the thing is, I can imagine we'd get something like that, like in isolated moments. Like if he's gonna meet someone or talk to someone who's sort of like he was at the start of part one, that he might sort of calm them down or talk kindly to them. I feel
Yeah,
like
but
that could be a
he's
moment that
not gonna be
hits.
like he's not a mentor. He's not here to be a mentor character in
No,
this one.
no, he's very dysfunctional,
Yes.
and that's the way we love him. God damn it.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're here for. Dysfunctional Denji.
Also, Yoshida saying it's not an evil organization like in some manga. Like, okay, Fujimoto, I get it. I get it. You can stop winking. Speaking of that evil organization, I wonder what it is. Like, I wonder what if that's anything sort of we've heard about, we've known about, considering Yoshida's in it, or if it's something completely new that has sort of formed with completely new characters.
Yeah, like in the wake of Makima's disappearance.
Hmm.
And we haven't seen Makima 2 yet in this part.
Yes, we've not seen the girl. Denji just dumped her.
Just left her somewhere in an alley.
He just he just brought her to the park and then ran. Just booked it. Um, yeah, no, I'm so glad we have our atrocious dysfunctional king back.
Yeah, our awful little man. Terrible
Fucking
little
gremlin
gremlin.
boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. The goblin mascot.
The king of Goblin Nation.
Yeah. Yeah, God, that final page is so funny.
It's really good. I love him just leaning back in his chair, like doesn't know what to say.
Yeah, Deji's just absolutely demolishing that cake.
Hmm.
Oh man, this is such a fun series. I'm so glad it's back.
Me too.
But
I love
yeah,
Chainsaw Man.
I guess we'll see in 2 weeks, or is it another 1 week? I
One
don't
week from
remember.
now.
Okay.
Oh man. Okay, well that's enough putting it off. So now we have to fucking talk about My Hero Academia.
This is my favorite plot point in all of My Hero. I'm so grateful to Hori for writing this Edge Shot stuff because I genuinely think it's one of the best ways to like look at his writing and the way he's been creating this series after the first war. Cause like nothing about it makes sense. Every time he tries to make sense of it, it gets worse. But it also keeps getting funnier. Cause
Yeah.
first he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna become this boy's heart," which dumb, very dumb. No, actually, I will turn myself into string and sew back to pieces. The thing I said before about becoming the heart, don't worry, I was just lying for fun. Um, and then he's like, wait, there's a big logical problem in this situation. I'm not sanitized.
I'm
Like,
not sterile.
luckily, Wash gave me one of his bubbles.
It really is so like, and it's just a stupid little one-off panel of like, ah, Wash gave me a bubble. That's just what I need. But it's also like, who the fuck? You couldn't possibly set up ahead of time like, oh, Edgeshot knows a lot about like surgery, but
Mm-hmm.
you do have the forethought to think, oh, what if someone points out that Edgeshot isn't sterile?
Well,
And
the
it's
thing
funny
is,
because someone in my Twitter comments actually did point that out the week before this,
oh, really, that he isn't
that
sterile?
he's not sterile. Yeah.
No, because to me, the thing that gets me is how much of this plot point has just been Hori sets something up, changes it, and then is just like, oh well, I lied, and moves on. Because like we see Bakugo's heart fall into pieces, like it has a giant explosion coming out of it. But now in this chapter, it's like, oh, the pieces are there, they're just ripped. I need to, so back there, like, hey, Hori, if that was the problem, why not just make his heart stop? And
Yeah,
get like
or
I don't
like,
know Kaminari or someone.
yeah, and it's like, why the fuck? Genus, like, I guess, just can't suture good enough. It needs to be me with my supreme suturing ninja ability technique. Like, what the fuck is going on?
That and then also the cliffhanger is like, oh, I cannot get back from this. This is my final act. And then this chapter is just like, no, it it eats away at my life force, but I'll still like be around. It's like Hori, God, dude, stop lying to me.
Yeah, what? Because the whole like at the beginning they made it sound like, oh, he's gonna die because he's just gonna become Bakugo's heart, so he has to. But now it's like, oh, yeah, it just burns my life force to be this little for too long.
Is what's the game plan here? Like, what's okay? All right, I think we need to stop memeing and actually go through this step by step because otherwise we're just gonna be laughing
That's
because it
fair.
is
I'm gonna
genuinely
laugh
just.
anyway, to be honest.
I mean, yes. So, um, oh god, where do we even start? Problem number one. It undoes Bakugo's death. That's on its face a dumb thing. I think that's something that almost anyone who doesn't have Bakudeku in their display name can agree on, right?
Right.
Like Bakugo got a very cool, I mean, I wasn't super into it, but it was a coolly well constructed scene where he dies and he fights Shigaraki and it's a fun like well, not fun, it's a cool chapter. Undoing that is bad on its face because it undoes a cool moment and it further completely demolishes the stakes in the series. Someone important dies? No, they didn't. Shut up, right? Um, Especially because this is the second time that has happened with Bakugo, right? So that's problem number one. It's dumb on its face. Problem number two. Um, it makes this entire little spiel with Bakugo pointless because he didn't achieve anything by dying, and what is going to be achieved by him being revived besides killing Mirko and Edgeshot, probably? Like,
Yeah. Because, the whole
and
point of
go,
him getting killed was like, Deku's gonna see you and he's gonna be real mad about it. But it's like he's gonna be back before Deku gets back.
yeah, exactly. There's gonna be nothing to his death anymore. Um, and to twist it around to Shigaraki, originally when the first chapter of this little saga came out, this seemed really dumb because Bakugo hadn't managed to do anything to Shigaraki. His death literally meant nothing, right? Shigi was just fine. Now with this new chapter, it's even goofier because it's like, oh yeah, Shigi has not taken any real damage, but because he's afraid of Bakugo, now he's weaker. He's afraid of the guy that he killed in one hit. Okay, interesting. Um, Side note, I do want to say I do think it's kind of funny and cool in a way that Bakugo looking like the second user comes back like this. I vastly prefer this over Bakugo going to the past. Uh, it's still not not great in my opinion, but it's still fun. Um, and then of course the other big one is Bakugo worth sacrificing two pro heroes for? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I understand the whole point of like heroes are doing it because it's the right thing to do because they have to save the youth and the next generation. But like also, you're fighting for like the fate of the Earth right now.
yeah, like I'm sorry. If you as a hero don't have the foresight to see that maybe fighting and killing the bad guy who's threatening the entire world is more important than saving one kid who couldn't do anything, I don't know. Maybe heroes don't need to be around. Maybe Shigaraki's fitting. um, and okay, that's the other thing. Let's move on to Edge Shot. Right, the fact that it is Edge Shot. When I complained about this originally, I got so many people telling me, but Oceans, it's about the fact that Edgeshot is a nobody that nonetheless will sacrifice himself for Bakugo. It's to reinforce the themes of self sacrifice and of heroism that is unconditional. Alright, so if that's all we care about, why did it need to be Edgeshot? It could have
Uh,
been a new character with a revival ability
Yeah,
who's
it could
never
have
been
been
mentioned
anyone.
before.
But
Yeah,
also, that doesn't even necessarily work because Edgeshot is only a nobody to us.
that's also true.
Edgeshot's a nobody to the reader because he doesn't fucking do anything. But in the concept, like in the world of My Hero, he's like the number 4 ranked hero right now, isn't he?
Yes, I think so. Number
So
four.
like,
Yeah, number four.
because
He's
he was
above
number 5
Mirko.
and then All Might retired, so he got bumped up one. He like
Yeah.
he's not a nobody. He just like the whole point of like, oh, he's a nothing, but he's here to do the right thing anyway, would only work if he wasn't like one of the most celebrated heroes of all time in universe.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, a lot of the way a lot of people bring this up, I think, is specifically in that context of him being a nobody to us. But that also doesn't work because by that logic, it could have just been a cardboard cutout of any character who's just like, "Hello, I am John Reviver and I can revive people. I've never been mentioned before, but I'm a hero and I will do the right thing." Revives Bakugo, leaves. No one in their right mind would call that a good plot point. So let's not call it one just because this John Reviver has an actual name. Um, because the thing is, sure, not every character needs to be connected to every character. We don't need Edgeshot to be secretly Bakugo's dad who's loved him all along and
Right.
this
It
is like
doesn't
their
need to
big
be
moment.
Star Wars.
Yeah, but there needs to be a reason for the character to be the one who does it, right? Like from a narrative perspective, you as the author need to put characters into situations where they bring out the best parts of each other, where one character's presence brings out something interesting from the other character. You know, a good example, including involving Bakugo, was when the series started comparing him to Endeavor during the Endeavor agency arc. That was cool because these characters didn't have a connection per se, but them being in a scene together made you think about, oh wow, Bakugo sure seems like a very small Endeavor. Um, but this scene has none of that. Edgeshot is a nothing character who didn't have a backstory until he entered Bakugo's butthole. Um, Bakugo and Edgeshot had talked a single time before, which was a gag panel. Um, and the most frustrating thing is the replacement for Edgeshot was right there, and he's called Best Genist.
Yeah, that's what I don't get. Is like Best Jeanist and Bakugo probably have the strongest adult relationship that Bakugo's got, other than maybe All Might.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you could have easily just had a panel where Genus has to choose between like blocking Shigaraki or finishing stitching up Bakugo, and he chooses to heal Bakugo and die. Like done,
Mm-hmm.
accomplished. Instead, you have like you don't want to kill him off, I guess, because you still
Yeah,
need fucking because obviously you still need Best Jeanist around. He's the goat.
that's true. That's true. He's the best
So you
character in
just
the
bring
show.
out this random guy, and you're like, actually, he's been buddies with Best Jeanist since they were kids, and it's like I don't fucking care about
Yeah,
the fact that Edgeshot and Genist were in the Candy Crafts Club together. It's what they
yeah.
sewed together when they were 12. So this is supposed to be emotional to me now.
Mm-hmm. Like, okay, let's say this situation absolutely has to involve Edgeshot. Um, why not instead have Edgeshot turn part of his body into a string and then cut it off so that it stays a string, which means that now Genus can control it because it is now a sort of
A
stringy fiber
fiber,
substance,
yeah.
and he can do the operation. You still have Edgeshot in the scene. You work off of known factors within the power sets of these characters, and you give the glory to Genist. And Edgeshot is sort of, a supporting character there. Or hell, just make it so that Edgeshot fucking lost a limb or something. I don't know. That would have been more satisfying. It wouldn't have been perfect. I don't even know if it would have been good. It would have been more
Would have
satisfying
been
than
better.
Edgeshot. Yeah, because the other thing is people keep saying, "Oh, this has been set up because Edgeshot can go into people's bodies." It's like, a when he goes into Kurogiri's body, he's still a string the size of a small rope. Basically, he's not that thin. He's not that tiny.
Yeah, he's not
Um,
microscopically suturing shit. All he's doing is
exa-
cutting him. He's going in
yeah,
and he's giving
exactly.
him a little slash.
Yeah, I'm gonna reckon that every single person who's listening right now has the physical ability to crush a human heart if you just hold it in your hand, right? Like you can just do that. That's easy. Could you fix a human heart just because you can crush it? No. No, that's not how that works.
Right, and like again, they try to be like, oh, Bach, he has experience going inside of people, so naturally he would need to know. But like, why would he need to know heart surgery to
That
do that? And he's only done it like 2 times.
that and also why is this not a thing that he's better known for if he can genuinely do this? Because he
Yeah,
says it
why is he
burns
not a
away at
doctor?
yeah, he says it burns away his life force, whatever the fuck that means. That's anime speak for uh we want to create drama without actually saying anything.
Right.
Um it feels like something that should be more known about him. Something that should have come up because
Well, yeah, well, because the
that
thing
is
too
tremendously useful.
is the first time they mention it, Edshot's not the one who's like, oh, this kills me. Genist is the one that says it,
Yeah.
which implies that he's done it before.
Yeah.
And Genist is like, oh, your life force is being burned. How do you know that?
Headshot, you're looking a little thin there. Ha ha. Because, oh, oh god, I'm getting hot flashes from trying to think about this because it gets worse the more you try and think about it.
It just keeps getting worse.
Because the other thing is right. Um, what's the long term plan here? So Edshot's gonna go into Baku's body, fix his heart and lungs. Then what? This boy has lost blood. He probably has bones broken that you cannot suture together. Um, is he just gonna wake up magically and they're just gonna be like, oh yeah, the blood loss wasn't that bad, you only lost your heart.
Well, look at his
Um,
fucking face on page 3. Like, the right side of his face is so covered in blood.
yeah. So first of all, him coming back from this, perfectly fine when his heart is fixed, brought back together, is very much beyond the line of believability. And I know someone's gonna be like, "Oh, it's a manga. It's not a medical journal." Like, if Hori is going to look me in the eye and tell me he got washes bubble so he can be sterile, if he's gonna commit to that level of like, "Oh yeah, don't be pedantic. There's no germs here," then I'm gonna commit to calling him out on not considering, the blood loss or the fact that you cannot just restart a heart multiple minutes after it stopped beating because it exploded. You always
Didn't
have community
Shigaraki
off.
also shatter both of his arms?
Maybe I don't remember that. I,
Did,
possible.
because didn't he like rip the shit off of him and he's like laying on the ground with his arms all fucked up and Gina's is like, oh god, I gotta fix your arms, don't move.
Hmm.
Like, first of all, how the fuck is Best Genius doing that? Second of all, what is he gonna do? He's like fucking destroyed, even if his heart is restored.
Right? Like, what's the point of bringing him back? Like, what is the point of dragging a kid back to life when he can't do anything? Because again, if this was sort of, oh, they're in a hospital and they have to save this kid, yeah, of course, save it. Life is sacred, whatever. But you're on the battlefield. A walking nuke Hitler is literally standing in front of you, and you're like, yeah, we're gonna sacrifice two capable fighters to bring back this kid who will never walk again. Like, maybe this isn't the priority here, guys. Because the other, oh god, oh, I'm sorry, this is just turning into ranting. I wanted to give this some structure, but remember that? You remember that scene when Baku is fucking dying, and he has that talk with like All Might in the Vestige world. He's like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't get this card signed." Hey, Hori, what the fuck was the point of that then? Like,
Just
was
to
that just
make you think he was actually gonna die, so you'd feel bad about it.
yeah?
Like that's
So
legitimately it.
here I present my thesis. All right, Hori writes the cliffhangers first. I don't know when he started doing this, but I am, especially with this last chapter, fairly convinced that he starts out with where the chapter is going to end and then writes everything around it. And the start of every subsequent chapter is dedicated to sort of explaining, oh, how this works and how is this possible? Because you get Bakugo dies. Not even 2 chapters later, oh no, we gotta revive Bakugo. Edge shot, he's gonna become his heart and then die. Oh no, that's a little weird. Actually, he's not gonna become his heart and he's not gonna die. He's just gonna go and suture up his wounds. Like, it feels like reading someone having a seizure while putting it onto paper. It is incredible. And
Well,
on one hand, I kind of love it because it's so blatant and so on the nose bad that you kind of just it forces you to start thinking about how this is possible, what Hori's going for, and why it might not be working. So from a writing perspective, this is actually really fun. But from a I've invested years of my life into the series perspective, uh, anyway, I'm sorry, I cut you off like 2 times there. I'm so
no,
sorry.
you're good. You're good. All I was gonna say was it. I don't know exactly when this started, and it's something that people attributed to the previous editor, which is obviously not the case anymore because he's still doing
Mm-hmm.
it. Um, it seems like every chapter of My Hero lately has to end with like a wham shot. Like
Yes.
it can't just be like, oh, they're gonna keep fighting. Like it has to have the wham of like, oh shit. Because like the past time it was like dead Bakugo,
Mm-hmm.
All for One's face is back, reviving dead Bakugo, the
Mm-hmm.
bodies growing out of Shigaraki. Like it seems like everything that he's working on is being built up because it has to end with like whatever the cool hook cliffhanger is. And the first time I feel like remembering it happen was the fake out on the Invisible Girl being the traitor.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's literally an entire ominous fucking page dedicated to her at the end. And then it's just like, oh yeah, she was just like kind of nearby while the actual stuff was going on. Like it meant nothing. Like
Mm-hmm.
her being there didn't even
Yeah.
matter. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
how they found out or anything. It just barely came up. She's happened to be around. But
Yep.
like he needed to have the cool wham cliffhanger, oh fuck moment to get the internet talking or whatever. And the end result of
Yep.
that is that it's just a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah. Because that's the other thing. Like reading it weekly is one thing, but I just keep thinking of how is this gonna register on a reread? Every other chapter is gonna end with some, oh no, what's gonna happen next? And you just turn the page and it's like, anyway, that didn't matter.
Anyway, it was stupid. Yeah, it was just some
Yeah.
dumb shit. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's what I mean when I say it feels like reading a seizure. It's going into every direction at once and then immediately retracting because it's just, I don't know, trying to be exciting, I guess. Which fine. That's a fine thing to try and be. Maybe don't do it at the cost of your story coherence. Because in the past 4 chapters, Baku has died. Baku is gonna be has announced that he's gonna come back to life. Um, Edshot has announced that he's gonna die and become Bakugo's heart. Edshot has clarified that he's not gonna die and in fact not become Bakugo's heart. Like, and I know there's gonna be that one fucking guy. You know who you are. In the comments who's gonna say, "Oh, when he said I'm gonna become his heart, it was obvious that he wasn't gonna literally become his heart." And it's like, buddy, we need to base our thoughts on what the series is saying, not on whatever you convince yourself is happening.
Well, also
He said,
he justifies it too by saying like I'm gonna repair and replace the missing bits, and then I'm gonna make it pump. So
"Uh
it's like
huh,
he literally gives you like an explanation of what he's doing. And now like I've seen people say, "Oh, he's just sewing it up because all the exploded bits are still there," which is bullshit because when you see him get the wound, there's like a giant hole in his heart missing. But
yeah,
that's
well."
obviously gone now because when they drew the
Mhm.
wound this time, it's fine. It's just like
No,
kind of
you see,
fucked up
Edshot grabbed the missing piece off screen and launched it back in with him. It's fine. Uh,
naturally.
because no, you go actually before I launch into another fucking tirade.
Yeah. So but like the character it's not just that like, oh, we have to trust what they say because obviously there's metaphor and stuff, but like blah blah blah. But Edgeshot literally says exactly what he's going to do, and it's part of it is replace parts of Bakugo's heart with his own body,
Mm-hmm.
which is like, how are we supposed to interpret that? Anything else?
Yeah, well, you are supposed to interpret it in the best way possible
Whatever the
because, and
most
this
forgiving way to Horikoshi is the way that it's meant to be interpreted.
exactly, that is the final thing I want to say before we move on to like some of the other things that have happened with MHA. Um, I know that someone in the comments is gonna be like, "You're being impatient. You're just reading it in the worst way possible. You are not considering this random thing I made up." And to that,
This
I want to say,
justification I googled.
yeah, let Hori cook is one of the most dishonest and bullshit ways to enter a conversation about My Hero these days because it's always only used to deflect criticism. It's always only used to say, "Look, you're not considering the fact that it could be better next week." Like, okay, buddy, you're not considering the fact it could be even worse next week.
Yeah,
You
it's
don't know the
always
future.
like, oh yeah, it sucks now, but it might not later.
Yeah.
It's always
And
what it means.
the thing is, I had someone in the comment section of last week's video because I made like a chapter reaction thingy because I was so mad. I had someone just go mask off, and I really appreciated that because they basically told me, "Look, you're entitled to your opinion, but unless your opinion is that MHA is good, you're wrong, and you need to reread the series and go back to it until you like it because that's the only acceptable outcome." And I looked at that and I was like, "How do I reply to this in a way that makes this man never open the internet again?" And then I realized, no, wait, I appreciate this. Because it is just complete honesty. Yes, people who say shit like, let Hori cook, are not trying to engage you on any real conversation. They're trying to basically blast you with some absolute nonsense in the hopes that you just give up. Because if you genuinely believe that you can never criticize anything in the moment that it happens because the story is technically incomplete, boy, do I hope you've never had an issue with the MCU because they could always fix everything. Do you not like the current Spider-Man or the current Hulk? Well, they could fix it in like 20 movies. No one believes in Let Hori cook. No one actually thinks that you're not allowed to criticize things while they're ongoing because everyone shits on at least one series in Jump. Everyone does that. And so the only explanation then for the pervasiveness of Let Hori cook is that people just want to protect this man at all costs. They want to dumb themselves down, pretend that they don't understand basic media reader relationships in order to defend this poor little cinnamon bun, which I get. Hori is a very attractive man, and I go on these tirades because I've been with MHA for so long. I started while I was in a fucking hospital. Um, but Hori is a cool guy, and I'm very glad that he got to do his third series when he was, depressed and trying to sort of get his final chance in Shonen Jump. And I'm very glad it's worked out well for him. But the thing is, you can accept that, and you can also say that this Edgeshot shit is bullshit. Because an attack on the work is not an attack on the writer unless you specify that it is. And my attacks on Hori are always, "Why are you lying to me?" And then he
Well,
then
I
he
think
lets me
a
sleep on the
great
sofa.
example of this is the Bakugo thing and fan reaction to it. Because if you remember, which I'm sure you do,
Hmm.
the first chapter after he died, um, there was no indication he was going to come back. And so
Hmm.
you had all of these people who were like, "Oh my God, Hori is the goat. He's the legend. I told you to just let him cook. Bakugo's not. He's not getting a Shonen revival. This is the best shit ever." And then he did get it, and those same people are like, "You guys are so mean to Horikoshi. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, shut up. It's not even a
Yeah.
big deal to Bug." And it's like, so it doesn't really matter to you what happens as long as it's received positively.
Well, yeah, because I think My Hero has grown beyond just being a series. It's now kind of become it's the K-pop of anime manga. You if you like it for life. It's just part of who you are. And if someone doesn't like it and has problems with it, you just twist and turn your way around into your argument so that you can somehow defend it, even if it means dumbing yourself down to legitimately saying don't criticize it because it isn't over yet. Because that's the thing that just keeps getting to me. It's like anyone who's ever criticized One Piece in that case should never have said anything. And I know for a fact a lot of people who are very into My Hero are not that much into One Piece. So I don't know, let Oda cook. Let's see
Well,
what
shit, it's
other
even like what we
misogyny he
talked about
has.
before when we were kind of making fun of the whole, oh, he's a goat for foreshadowing this by having this character here 33 years ago, and now he came
Hmm.
back. It's like, oh, if you had just waited 33 years for Oda to cook, you'd have known why this character was there. Like, it's fucking stupid.
Yeah, that, and also where does it end? Like My Hero's gonna end, and people are gonna criticize him. People are like, "Oh, he could explain it in data books," and then the data books come out. Oh, but maybe there'll be a sequel. Like you're not so gullible to think that that was it. Ugh, you can't read, can you? And
It's
then a
gonna be
sequel
fixed
doesn't
in
come out.
anime exclusive add-on material.
Yeah, yeah. Like no, fellas, I'm sorry, I can read. I wish I couldn't sometimes, but I can read. And what I've been reading in MHA these past couple of weeks has been abyss fiction. I am so
Abyss
so.
fiction.
Trust me. I'm the last person who wants to say this. Like people have penned me as like an MHA hater, and I feel like I think I deserve it. I've made a few too many spicy tweets, but again, this is a series that I discovered when I really fucking needed it, and so you need to believe me that when I say shit like My Hero has been terrible for pretty much the last year and a half, that shit hurts me. Like you can hear it in my voice. That shit is like a shrapnel in my heart. But it is the truth. And you can agree or disagree. I don't really mind. You know, it's up to you. But for the love of God, don't reduce the argument to making up weird things you don't believe in, like let Hori cook. Yeah, let him cook. Let's see how much worse this can get. Let's see how much better it can get. I, for one, want to end this on saying, why didn't we get to see All for One's dick? That's the real question here.
I do like that justification because I thought it was stupid that he had rewind and he's like, you're gonna not use it on like as a get out of jail free card. But then the explanation that like technically he can't because like he
Mm-hmm.
can, it's not perfected, so like he can't stop it. So once he
Mm-hmm.
rewinds, that body's eventually just gonna rewind into like a fetus, like Polnareff
Mm-hmm.
style.
Yep.
I did like that explanation. I thought that was good and it made sense. And so it's gonna give us a lot of cool fan servicey stuff, seeing like a young All for One before
Mm-hmm.
his horrific All Might wounds, while
Uh-huh.
also like balancing the power a little bit. Because it would be stupid if he's just like, oh, my body's back now, and which
Yeah.
is what it sounded like. And the way that they handled it was smart and good. And it just continues to reaffirm my opinion that Horikoshi only pays attention to what's going on when he's drawing somewhere that Endeavor is close by.
The Endeavor effect.
The Endeavor is vaguely nearby, and then like that's that. He's like, oh, I have to pay attention. Endeavor's
Mm-hmm.
near the screen.
Mm-hmm. Um, yes, and also I want to. I mean, one last slightly negative thing. I do think it is a little bullshit to say that the Doctor who could copy quirks perfectly could only extract a shitty suicide version of Rewind. But I think that's less of a now problem and more of a problem regarding the fact that Hori never explained exactly what the Doctor can and can't do.
Yeah,
So there's a
I'm
little,
mostly willing to brush that off as like, well, the bullets are like not technically her quirk, and like if he had gotten her
yeah,
actual quirk, it would work, and the bullets are like a
yeah. It's
fragmented
kind
bit
of
of it or whatever. It's fine.
yeah, it's kind of whatever. Like
Yeah,
it's
I can hand wave it easy enough. A lot easier than Edge Shot, that's for sure.
yeah, because I do think that it is overall beneficial that All for One now is in the state he's in. That he, because that's the thing. The problem with All for One for me was always his perpetuity in the story. The fact that he just never knew when to fucking quit. So him basically saying, "I'm gonna kill myself" and then entrust the rest to Shigaraki. Yes, that is cool. I do like that, and I also think the fact that he now has a face has really improved him because he's not just some gross non-character design anymore. Now he actually looks like a guy, and the fact that his outfit is basically capes he's stolen from various heroes while he steals their quirks. That's cool. You got me on that one, Horikoshi. That's really cool. He almost looks like he's wearing a tunic. He kind of look. I
Yeah,
saw
he's got like
someone.
an old timey god look to him.
Yeah, like I saw someone say that when in that panel where he's like stealing the quirk from the lady and he looks like he's on fire, it's like Prometheus bringing the flame. It's like, oh, that's cool. Um, so yeah, that's nice. Um, and I like the little bit we got in America, because of course America will be pro all for one. That's very on brand for you guys.
Yeah, that's our thing. He's
Yeah,
he's kind of like our ideal person. So,
I mean, yeah, yeah, an old guy who doesn't know when to fucking quit, who just loves capitalism.
hmm
Yeah. um, but yeah, no, I cannot fucking believe that this conversation has ended up in I really enjoyed All for One this week.
I know of anywhere for it to go.
Yeah. I mean, it really just show goes to show how annoying this Bakugo thing has been. But at the very least, hopefully, it'll be over soon. Um, I'm not sure what I think of Shigaraki's current mental state, where he's like reverting into Tenko. I mean, I think we said it a couple chapters ago as well that I'm sad that the shift from All for One Garaki to Shigi isn't really there. It's more like from All for One and Shigaraki to Tenko immediately. Because I just don't find Tenko as interesting or as, someone I care about. But I guess we'll see. That is, I think, something that's very much going to hinge on what happens in these next couple of chapters.
Yes.
Uh, I cannot say I'm optimistic, but you know what? I'm this deep in. Might as well continue.
Might as well let it happen. Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, we're what 350 chapters in,
S-
370
Three,
almost. Like,
365.
yeah, like no, I'm not fucking dropping this shit. I'm seeing it
Yeah,
through to the end.
see it till the end. The captain goes down with the ship.
Yeah. Hey, I did my share in making it, praising it and making it out to be something good, and now, you know, I gotta, I gotta eat the soup that I cooked, as we say in German.
hmm Something of something, sowing and reaping. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, you have any other thoughts on MHA?
No, no. Blissfully, I don't.
Ah, good. Peace.
So now we can move on to the final segment, which is going to be significantly shorter than the last one because that was half an hour long.
Ah, nice.
Jujutsu Kaisen.
I want to start off by saying, that tweet where someone's like, every time Gege gets worried that the manga's getting a little stale, he just throws in Toji,
He just
or like
drops a
something
panel of
about,
Toji in there. Yeah.
yeah. I really did feel that these last 2 weeks,
Yeah.
because it's two chapters almost entirely dedicated to two completely new characters that are kind of gag characters. And so when Toji just shows up in like a panel, I was like, okay, Gege, I get it. You're a little scared.
Yeah, a
You're
little
a little
nervous.
worried.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but contrary to some people that I've seen, I actually like this. I think this was very cute.
Yeah, I thought it was
Um,
good. I love the whole scene where Maki takes a sumo stance and the birds are flying behind her like they were when Mai originally cut her free. Um,
mhm,
and I like the concept of, because there's a lot of like Buddhist shit in Jujutsu Kaisen, and the concept of like moving beyond it all is
mhm,
is what makes you strong. And like the fact that Maki kind of doubled back to her, you know, I don't know, worldly tethers sounds dramatic, but she kind of doubled back to like, oh, I still hate Naoya. I'm still suffering because of my family. I'm still obsessed with like trying to solve all this shit and to be useful and all that stuff at the end of the day. And it kind of mirrors Toji, where like Toji kicked the ever loving shit out of Gojo, and then as soon as he let himself get pulled back into like, I want to prove my family wrong, he fucking died.
mhm,
Um, I really like that parallel between the two of them. I agree it's kind of silly that this guy came out of nowhere and is like, pause, let's
mhm.
chat a little bit about where your head's at.
Yeah.
A little on the nose, maybe. There could have been some other ways that this could have been done. Um,
Mhm,
but I don't think it was too bad. Like I've seen people say, why are they all just standing around waiting for Maki to come out? Which like obviously they're not. We're just not watching them fight. Like
mhm,
obviously the sword guy is still fighting Naoya because that's the last thing we see them doing. They're not just sitting there waiting. Um,
mhm.
like there's still shit going on. And I also really liked. Have you seen the GIF where someone took every frame of the fight from pages 12 and 13 and it actually makes like an animation loop.
Yes, I saw that. That it's basically drawn frame by frame.
Yeah, that it's drawn like frame by frame of an actual sumo match was really cool.
Yes.
I like a
That's
lot of it. My only complaint is just that it feels a little in your face to have a character we've never seen before show up and be like, I have the answer to your woes.
Yeah. I think it helps that it's not just the sumo guy. You also have the katana guy who finds the demon slayer sword.
Hmm.
That's kind of funny. And I actually saw someone suggest that this sumo guy might actually be the inventor of Simple Domain,
Oh,
sort
I
of a
could see that.
reincarnation of it,
Yeah, I
because
could see
he
that.
is from the right time period and he definitely knows how to make a simple domain. Um, so yeah, no, really did enjoy it. I think people are too mean to Maki. People
Yeah,
are
I don't
so
know why
ready
people
to be
don't like
mean to
Maki.
her.
Maki is like really disliked from what I've seen online at least.
I don't know. Maybe people are still a little weirded out from like perfect preparation where the arc just sort of ends in a text box because Gege was sick, which you know fair enough, but current Maki is cool. I like her. I
Yeah,
think,
I like Maki a lot.
um, yeah, because I think this sort of this quest for self actualization and to be finally free of the ties of her family, you know, interact really well with the fact also that she has no cursed energy, that she is a woman in a patriarchic society. I think there's just a lot of fun shit you can sort of read into. Not to mention, it's just cool to have a badass, super strong girl in the cast.
Yeah, who's like
You
the
know,
most physically imposing of the main characters.
yes, that's a nice breath of fresh air. I'm not gonna. I know some people go a little far and they're like, oh, this is the best written female character in all of like anime manga, and I'm like, I
Yeah, you're getting a little
wouldn't
dramatic.
say that.
I've seen people say
Yeah,
that about Nobara too, and it's like, take it easy.
Nova's been
Um,
great these last 100 chapters.
but and see, I kind of like this too because as we're seeing Maki grow and like learn what it is that she's lacking to make herself stronger, we also learn more about Toji in the process.
hmm
Because, his whole thing in Shibuya, like the narration of him coming back, is that he was the one who left it all behind. And that was like
hmm
what made him so great. And so it's
hmm
interesting seeing like Maki learn this lesson that like she's bound by all of the shit that she's worried about. And like
hmm
moving on from it is what's going to make her strong. It's neat. And it ties into Toji a little bit, because Toji got worried about his son, and he got worried about trying to basically the fucking shackles of his abusive ass past. He couldn't get him off all the way, and when he
hmm
clipped them back on to fight Gojo to prove his dad wrong, that's when he died. And Maki was freed from it the first time by Mai, freed from like the confines of her physical limitations. And so now you get the same symbolism again with the birds flying by when she's helped by this guy to free herself from the confines of her emotional limitations. It's cool.
hmm
And now she's fucking badass, and I hope she kicks the shit out of Naoya next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, no, I'm just perpetually excited for Jujutsu Kaisen. I am empathizing with people who are a little exhausted with calling games. Like I'm not gonna say that that's an unreasonable feeling to have at this point, because it does really feel like this has all been a lot of like setup and preparation. Um, but still, I'm still on board with it. I think this is a good example of just having one arc be like the entire framework of what you're trying to do currently in the manga. Because sort of before Shibuya, we got the setup for Shibuya in like chapter 16 or something,
Yeah, like
and then
way back.
yeah, and then the entire story was sort of building towards Shibuya. Whereas here, it's more like everything's happening within the embrace of the culling games. And so I can sort of understand if someone feels a little less intrigued because it's sort of like, oh well, there is no end point really because we're inside of the end point all of the time. But I don't know. I personally enjoy it. I think it makes for a fun structure where like anything can really happen. Like we might just suddenly walk into Kenjaku.
Yeah, he
There's
could
like
just
no
like be
telling.
right there. I
Yeah.
feel like we're kind of hitting the end of a lot of that stuff too, because like I don't foresee them just jumping back to Yuji and being like, oh, round two. Here's his other
hmm
random. Like, I feel like we've kind of reached the point now, like Hakari has the points that they need. They're instituting the rules that they need. Maki
hmm
showing up is kind of a wild card because like we knew she was
hmm
supposed to show up, but not when and where. And then Naoya coming back was a wild card too. I think once Naoya is taken care of and Maki and presumably divorced dad guy whose name I don't remember, Kamo.
Amo.
Um,
Good God, he's divorced in every sense, isn't he?
yeah, he's really just why you there, buddy. I
Hmm.
assume they're gonna join up with like everyone is in place now to rejoin except for Megami, which I imagine is probably what the beginning of this next segment of it is going to be. Is it's going to be
Hmm.
people starting to reconvene with one another and realize that Megami isn't answering. Um,
Hmm.
and then we'll probably move on from there because to my understanding, the points that Hikari got were one to allow people to communicate, which they couldn't do
Hmm.
before, and two to allow them to move between zones. So
Hmm.
it seems to me like we're all set for everybody to meet up together.
Hmm. Yeah, makes
Although we
sense.
did get that one shot of Miwa. We don't know what Miwa's up to.
She is on her way to. It's actually Kenjaku in Miwa's body, and he's on his way to get absolutely railed. For the good of his plan, of course.
For yeah, the second heir to his plan.
Like, what's the henchman's name? Uraume. He's like, they're like, Kenjaku, I can't help but notice that a lot of your plan involved getting cream pied, even though quite a few times you could have gone without. And he's like, shh, you don't know my machinations. And it's
you,
just like
you can never understand the depths of my plan.
like, and the plan in question is just he's gay. He just enjoys getting busted into, which hey, good for him to be honest.
Yeah, hey man, you gotta do what you like.
Yeah, weird to take over people's bodies, but hey, you know what? Slay queen. Sometimes that is just what you need.
Yeah, it's all about what makes you comfortable at the end of the day.
Mhm. Wear something comfortable, even if it is the skin of someone else.
Even if it's just some random person that you're trying to find and get to plow you so you can birth an evil vessel for a demon.
We're never gonna let Giga live this one down because this is the funniest plot
It's so
twist.
fucking funny. I still want to find there was an episode like a year before the reveal where we make a joke that
Hmm.
Kenjaku is secretly Yuji's mom. Someone's linked it to me before, and I don't remember which one it was. But we're making a joke
Hmm.
about like how roundabout his plan is, and like who was he? Because this was like before or like right around the reveal that he's a body hopper, and that
Hmm.
like he wasn't just Noritoshi Kamo who took his brain out and put it into Kenjaku's body or to Geto's body. He's like a whole
Hmm.
different thing entirely. Um, and everyone was like, "Wow, who else was he? Who could he be?" And we made a joke that he was Yuji's mom, and lo and fucking behold, he's actually Yuji's mom. Oh God, I love this fucking series. It's so stupid.
It's so good. It's a shining beacon in some very dark days of Jump.
It's true. It really is.
You have anything else on it?
No, I think I'm good, which will also mean that we are good for today. It's a long. We knew it was gonna be a long one.
Hmm.
Sorry if you were looking forward to hearing about like the three people who were super hyped for the Witch Watch segment or whatever. We'll be
Was
back
there
to
even a
normal
Witch
next
Watch
week.
chapter this week?
Oh, there wasn't a Witch Watch chapter. That's see, I didn't even fucking notice.
Aliens area was good this week for the first time.
Yes. Oh my God, we didn't even mention that. It's the first time I've ever read an Aliens area chapter. I'm like, damn, I enjoyed myself.
Yeah. And we will not elaborate on that.
Nope.
Have fun trying to figure out what part we liked. I don't think it's that hard.
It's not very hard to figure out.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys next week.
All right, folks. See you around. Bye.